Hello everybody and welcome to MavLife Sports coverage of the Division II Southern California semifinals between the Costa Mavericks and the Lawndale Cardinals. I'm Keith Demolder, alongside me is my co-anchor Connor Hines. Welcome inside the Maverick Tip-Off Show, live here from the Canyon here at beautiful Costa High School in Carlsbad, California, for the final home game of this 2014-2015 season. Connor, how's it going?
Well, Keith, it's good to be here tonight. We're obviously excited for this one tonight. The La Costa Canyon Mavericks welcoming the Lawndale Cardinals. Obviously, two ways to really look at this game. You can either call it the CIF Division II State Quarters or the Southern California Semis. Regardless, though, we're ready for this one tonight, as are the Lawndale Cardinals. Keith, who come to this one 22-11 after an awesome season. Keith, a little bit about the Lawndale Cardinals.
Any idea where an American
really
flag is?
Streaky throughout the season, but got some good wins over good teams during the season.
We're all running it tomorrow.
Obviously, able to score a ton of points with it, including a 90-46 win at Culver City. But we know they can put up some massive points throughout the season.
Yeah, you talk about the coach for this team, Christopher Brownlee, and the history really of this team. They had a 22-11 record as it stands right now. That is their best record since the 2006-2007 season, when they went 22-7. But really, you have to talk about this team this year in terms of their two biggest men. The forward, 6'10", the senior, Chemezi Metu. He is a big man, a big force down low, as well as Roderick Jones. Both of them going to elite colleges this upcoming fall. Great to see really the potential of this team, and it has down low really as well. You look at the stats for this team, and they've averaged quite a bit of points. As Connor referenced, they've blown out some opponents by big numbers this season. They had 68.5 points per game in 2005 and 2006. What do they look like this year?
Well, Keith, yeah, they've definitely been impressive all year, and not to mention that 90-46 win at Culver City. But earlier in the season, it was 70-27 versus Culver City as they hosted them at Lawndale. So maybe a little bit of action against Culver City, that they've really had some success against that team. As far as the rest of the season though, as already mentioned, they have been streaky, but they did get on a five win in a row streak throughout, and obviously 22-11 record, 7-3 within their own league. Don't know too much about their own league, them being from the Los Angeles County area, but regardless, obviously a team who has really proven themselves to be here tonight, Keith. We know that any team in the CIF state semifinals, we know that any team is really going to be good and show up tonight.
Yeah, you talk about this postseason for the Lawndale Cardinals. They were able to totally squash Grant, 87-45. Roderick Jones had 17 points and 10 rebounds, as well TJ Johnson added 15 points for Lawndale. You talk about these recent wins for the Cardinals. How dominating have they been this postseason? Well,
I mean, they're the 4th seed in the section right now. Obviously, the Costa Canyon, the 1 seed, and you mentioned the 87-45 win over the 13 seed Grant back on March 11th. Obviously, a dominating win. Another not so dominating, but still solid performance over Redlands East Valley just recently on March 14th, and tonight they're playing the Mavericks here in Carlsbad. So obviously, they show how they can dominate. That their regular season reflects that, as does their postseason record. They obviously went far within their own CIF playoffs in LA too, so a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, you talk about though, this Mavericks team is very strong, especially from three-point range. Brady Twombly, Tommy McCarthy, Travis Fuller, they can all shoot the three ball very well. How important was it last game against Tesoro for Brady Twombly to be on fire as he was?
Well, you know, Keith, Brady Twombly against St. Augustine was really disappointed with the way he fouled out there at the end, and it was really good to see him come back and redeem himself here in the state CIF games, and he really was on all night long, shooting the threes well, and you know, you can really tell straight from warm-ups if it's going to be a good night. And the Mavs are known to start a little slow here at these big games, Keith, as we've mentioned before, but it's definitely going to be an interesting storyline as far as the way Brady Twombly can heat up and how quickly he can heat up tonight.
Yeah, definitely. We saw him make 4 out of 4 3-pointers to start the 4th quarter against Tesoro. You look at this Mavs recent CIF postseason performance. They had a 74-53 win over Tesoro in the first round. They then went out and had a 25-point win against Santa Barbara, 69-44. Great win there from the Mavs. You know, you take a huge offensive presence in the Mavs, and you combine it against a huge offensive presence in Lawndale. Could we be seeing another huge, offensive scoring night for both of these teams?
It's a very high possibility, Keith. And the Mavericks, they've been around the 60 or 70 point average all season long, but obviously CIF State, a little different implications going on against a high scoring team that Lawndale is. So definitely could see a few different numbers there in the stat sheet, in the score sheet at the end of the night.
Yeah, you look at this Lawndale roster, majority of this team is upperclassmen. They only have one guy, a sophomore, who is Terrell Johnson, 5'11". He is a big presence for the Cardinals, but otherwise, every single player on this team is an upperclassman. Goes to show the experience factor, a huge part to play in this game tonight, Connor. The Mavs, though, are experienced themselves. Been to the CIF championship last year. They ended up winning the ring against St. Augustine. Lost, though, in the first round of the state championships. You hate to see things like that happen, but this year they're out for redemption. They lost against St. Augustine in the semis of CIF. Now they're here to try and win a ring. It goes to show you really how dedicated this team is.
Yeah, it really does, and redemption is exactly right, Keith. We saw the disappointment on every Mavericks face after that loss against St. Augustine, and they really do want it badly tonight. Obviously, CIF State, much bigger implications, and it's a much bigger stage here in the CIF State semifinals. Obviously, Demolder, McCarthy, Fuller, we talked about them all season long, but they really are not the only guys who show up every night. Obviously, in that game against St. Augustine, Matt Hartman kind of breaking out of his shell a little bit. It was really unfortunate that it had to be so late in the postseason and everything. And he had a shot at the three-pointer last second, unable to convert though. Nonetheless, Mavericks here for redemption tonight.
Yeah, we talked to Tom McCarthy and Travis Fuller before the game.
Tom McCarthy, class of 2015, Costa High School.
I'm Travis Fuller. I'm a senior at Costa.
Alrighty, so I guess this is a question neither of you can answer, but how has this season been compared to last season?
I think it's been different for sure, just because we've all kind of matured. We're all like seniors now. We have a lot more experience than we did last year. Obviously, last year we won the CIF championship. We weren't able to do that this year, but we're hoping to win the state instead.
They talked about the fact that the St. Augustine win really had an effect on the team in general. The fact that we're so accustomed to winning here at LCC that having them lose the game was really just an eye-opener for them, as they're expected to win a lot of these games at home. So I think they value a lot more the potential of this CIF ring, or the state ring, excuse me. So that's why they're taking practice a lot more seriously this week. They had to say poise was one of their key points, to keep their poise, keep their composure, because these games can get very tough.
How important is it to keep your composure, especially late in games?
Really important. It can cost you the game if you lose your composure. You can't be doing that stuff.
What advice has Coach given to you guys, just in terms of keeping your composure?
He just says he just says like the number one word he says is poise. You just gotta just kind of maintain your composure out there, not get too caught up, not get too high, too low during the game. Kind of just play within ourselves and not worry about the refs or what the other team's doing to us, and kind of just execute our game plan.
Yeah, and it goes across the board in athletics in general. It's all about keeping your composure and really making the most out of what you're given. And this is what the Mavericks are given here tonight. They're given a semifinal game here in CIF State. Obviously, much different than their own CIF Open Division. Another reminder: this is Division 2. This is an open division. That's why they're the #1 seed here in the southern section, at least. But obviously, some exciting things. Not wanting to look too far ahead, Keith, though, but the #1 seed on the other side of the bracket in the northern section, Sacramento, obviously could see some exciting things down the road. Possible next game the Pyramid at Long Beach State, and then the finals at UC Berkeley. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. Obviously, still a long way to go for this Mavs team.
Yeah, I was talking with Coach David Kassaw, one of the best coaches we've ever seen here at LCC. He really emphasized the fact of being physical with these two big guys, and Chemezi Metu, as well as Broderick Jones, both of them going to big Division I schools. Connor, you talk about their size, 6'10". You look at this entire roster, only one guy below 6 foot, but the Mavs have some size too. What do you think they can do to kind of counterbalance that size tonight?
Well, we've already talked about it in our past pre-games and how it was Travis Fuller who was really matched up well with Armstrong Ojumpu of Mission Bay, and it was really some things that went well for the Mavericks as far as the height goes in the height category, and obviously Lawndale has some very tall players too. It's height really not an uncommon thing to see in the game of basketball. Nonetheless, Travis Fuller, he's coming in every night, so big, and he's really such an asset to this team from TipOff.
Yeah, we saw against the Comanches of Canyon earlier this year, Lawndale shooting just 58% from the free throw line. You don't want that from your team, folks. So I think maybe if the Mavs could, give some fouls tonight and force Lawndale to the line, we could see them miss some free throws and give the Mavs a free possession. But you don't want it so that your star players end up getting fouled out.
Right.
Against Tesoro, we saw a lot of physical play, and that ended up in some costly foul outs. Talk about Brady Twombly, against St. Augustine, ended up fouling out of that game. So the Mavs have to keep their composure, learn to make some smart fouls if they are gonna make some fouls. You don't want any dumb calls called against them, especially in games like this.
No doubt about it, Keith. That's exactly right. And it sounds kind of like an oxymoron, a smart foul, but it's really true. You can foul to your advantage, really, and you definitely want to avoid the dumb ones, and you definitely want to keep your composure. You mentioned Coach David Kassaw, how he has this team all on the same page, really, and each player, whether it be Brady Twombly or Elijah Woodford, who we actually saw get in the game against Tesoro in the second half, but regardless, whatever player it may be, whatever player may be walking into Coach Kassaw's office, you know that they're all on the same page, and this team, it's one of their strengths. They really do know the entire team back and forth.
How important has team chemistry been?
Extremely, extremely important. That's probably our #1 important thing going into the season. Just to stay together, play together, and be like a family.
Yeah, I talked with Travis Fuller before the game tonight. He said chemistry has been nearly one of the most important things for the CIF run. And, if you don't have a team, you could have the most talented players, Connor. You could have the most talented players, Pippen, Jordan. But if they don't have chemistry, they're nothing. And especially in these playoffs, it really comes when the great teams become the greatest. Because that's when the chemistry really flows together and they learn to trust. We talked about it last pregame. The trust factor for these Mavs is unbelievable. Everybody has each other's back.
So you guys talked about it earlier. The guys have really stepped up. If you can name a team MVP other than yourselves, who would it be and why?
We can't do that. I think it's just everybody.
Yeah.
I think everyone's really stepped up and we've done it together. And
Yeah.
I don't think one person has really done.
Even everyone on our team makes a difference. Like even the kids who you don't see in the games, they still bring 100% effort every day in practice, and they deserve just as much accolades and yeah.
Yeah, I would say next question was who would you say has stepped up the most? I guess that goes for Travis. Who has stepped up the most and why?
Evan Kaplan for sure. He's our best defensive guy now. We can always count on him to guard the other team's best player. Matt Harmon has also stepped up big time. He's a hustle guy. He makes open shots. Jack McNulty stepped up a lot. Rebounds really well.
I talked to Tommy McCarthy, asked him, could you pick a team MVP? He said, that's just too hard to do. There's just too many good guys on this team. And it really goes to show, it's a lot more passing as we saw last year. LCC has really gotten everybody involved. JJ McNulty, talk about Evan Kaplan, really an underrated force on the defensive side of the ball, taking place of Patrick Fisher. He's out in Vermont having a great season himself. So he's really been missed, but but really it's been the backup guys that have been made that have made this LCC team really great.
Yeah, you can't go without noticing any one player on this team, whether it be Matt Harmon, Jackson Salthager you mentioned. Obviously, it goes much further than the big three, and you know, Brady Twombly, Tommy McCarthy, Travis Fuller, they're all very quick to credit their coach, their teammates, the guys really behind the scenes. Walked into the gym during 5th period today, and it was Coach Kassoff who had each and every player's just attention captivated on the film that they were watching, preparing for tonight. It's really something special to witness, special to see, especially at the high school level. See how seriously and how motivated they are to truly come out each and every night, whether it be practice, whether it be a CIF semifinal game, and really give it their 110% best, as we see boys varsity volleyball getting off the bus from their away game. So obviously a lot of Maverick athletics across the board today, but this has to be the biggest one tonight. CIF state semifinals Division 2 against Lawndale.
The Cardinals coming into this game are 14-9 historically since 2004 in the playoffs. Away there, 45-48. Not a bad record considering going into another team's gym. Can be a very daunting task. Excuse me. What is crowd support? You talk about going into an opponent's gym. How important is crowd support tonight for the Mavs as well as for the Cardinals?
We saw against St. Augustine how crowd support can really affect the game. How big is crowd support tonight for you guys?
It's huge, especially after last game we didn't have a great showing. Even like the UT called us out for it. But it's huge, like knowing like that we have people there supporting us. It definitely helps a lot on the court when you have people cheering for you, other than just like your parents. And it's cool to see all your friends at the game. I think it really brings our school together, and it's just, I mean, I think it would be fun to come to games.
Well, Keith, crowd support has been vocalized, especially this week, by Mr. Brian Marcus, our principal here at LCC. He walked around every classroom, in fact, just really showing them this Union Tribune article that was written about our crowd support, and we were able to tweet that out on Twitter, maybe get a lot of the student body involved in this one tonight. Crowd support will be a huge factor. Obviously, the Stampede not being so Stampede-like, especially in these CIF playoff games, so obviously we want a huge LCC student section here tonight, as well as the Lawndale team. It'll be interesting to see how their student section travels as well.
Yeah, as we wrap up our Maverick tip-off show, we're gonna go into some predictions. Connor, what are your predictions for this game in terms of the scoring for both sides? Give a final score and, you know, dictate how this game is gonna flow.
Well, you know what, Keith, predictions are always hard with Lawndale, with a team like Lawndale, who really don't know how they play at all. But based on their scoring this year, Keith, you gotta expect at least 70 points in a CIF playoff game like this one tonight. And for the Mavs, obviously they're going to have to put up huge numbers if they want success here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. You know, you talk about these Mavs defensively, they really upped it this season. And in terms of what this Lawndale team can do, they can score big numbers on you. We could be seeing a huge scoring game tonight. But also at the same time, they've got two big men in Metu and Jones, Brockman Jones. You know, we could also be seeing a defensive presence tonight, you know, getting those rebounds. But it really comes down to, I think, Connor, or that's where we're going to go to the keys of the game, is shooting from three-point percentage. You know, of course you want to have a high shooting percentage, but I think if you take those quality shots, you know, not trying to force any of the shots from three-point range. You know, if the Mavs, as we've seen historically, they've gotten down early, I think they need to play smart basketball, learn to distribute the ball, and if they start to make some bad shots, regroup, kind of refocus themselves, make those open looks, because that's where you're going to score the points most of the time, especially from three-point range. Give it to Brady Twombly on the wing, that's where he's most deadly as well. Tommy McCarthy needs to learn to kind of hold it down sometimes, not always go for the drive, because he may get fouled once or twice, but really in CIF games like this, you cannot count on the fouls. But yeah, I think for LCC, it's really going to come down to playing smart basketball. In terms of this Lawndale team, though, really playing, you know, forcing the Mavs to the outside and playing big inside on the offensive side of the ball. They got two 6'10" guys. That's some size that LCC really cannot match. So I think they use that to their advantage. They try and use the shooting presence of Terrell Johnson and the rest of these shooting guards for Lawndale. Maybe they'll see a win. But with that, we're going to bring it to the end of the Maverick Tip-Off Show. MavLife Sports, I'm Keith Demolder.
And I'm Connor Hines.
See you after the game. Don't go anywhere.
Hello everybody, this is LCC against Lawndale, the Mavs in their pregame huddle looking for their first state final Southern California appearance. Let's get into it. At first, it was the Mavs up early thanks to Travis Fuller and his 4 points. Ended up splitting some defenders here for the two-pointer. Nice job there. Another layup off the glass. Fuller was a beast inside for the Mavs. However, it was the three-point shooting of the Cardinals that did it right there. One from the Cards from three-point range as well. Defense, the Cards going coast to coast for the two-pointer. Ended up leading the Mavs early, but it was Tommy McCarthy going to the bank early, folks. Drawing out some cash money right there. Might as well call him JP Morgan, everybody, because he was going to the bank early and often. But the Cardinals would come back thanks to some clutch open shooting. The Mavs could not defend the three ball as the Cards sunk point after point after point from three-point range. Metu there with the three-pointer, wax on, wax off. Another one for the Cards. They were absolutely dominating. But Brady Twombly with the jam was the play of the game. Brought to you by MavLife Sports. The crowd really getting into it. Let's take another look. The flying Hawaiian going up with the one-handed slam. Brady Twombly was absolutely on fire in the first half. Was able to make some really good plays defensively. But there we have Metu with another three-pointer. 36-17 was the score at halftime. Coach David Cassaw was trying to rally his troops who were down early. Evan the Captain Kaplan with the three-pointer here. Oh, baby. He was on tonight as well. Travis Fuller banked a three-pointer of his own. But it was eventually Tommy McCarthy's play. The reverse layup right here that gave the Mavs some real promise. He ended up going for another drive down the lane off the bank for two. At the isolated three-pointer in the corner. Oh, baby. Tommy McCarthy was on all night. He ended the game with over 20 points and led the Mavs in terms of scoring. A three-pointer here from Long was the difference. However, he would have another step-back J, but that would just be not enough for this Mavs team, as the Lawndale Cardinals and Broderick Jones with the jam would be too much for the Mavs. Eventually, a three-pointer would be the dagger late in the fourth. The Mavs would eventually lose the game 60-46, sending them home. The Lawndale Cardinals will play at the Pyramid at Long Beach State in the finals.